tonight on GamePlan.
It's live. It's real. Everything counts. You're making the money that you're supposed to make.
It's time for the Saints to cash in on contender status as they open the season against the first of 4 straight playoff teams and the Houston Texans.
The weapons that we have available on both sides of the ball, that's what needs to culminate together come Monday night.
We're breaking down the film on trade acquisition Kiko Alonso and discussing the state of the Saints with Jeff Duncan. And Chris Hagan gets you ready for Week 1 of fantasy football.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is GamePlan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
Let the journey begin for the Saints. The 2019 season is here. First up, the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football right here in New Orleans. Welcome to GamePlan. Juan Kincaid, Sean Fazan.
Can't wait. The start of the season can't get here fast enough, but here we are, 5 days away from kicking things off in front of a national audience, and talk about being anxious to get underway. Cam Jordan definitely is. He's hoping to lead his teammates to their first season-opening win since 2013.
Last 2 years, we've definitely hit our stride in mid-season, quarter season through. And this is something that you want to start off hot off the gates. That's an organization standpoint, defensive standpoint, for us to change something, tweak something, head into this week, for us to be on the same mentality like we are usually week 3 instead of week 1.
As for the Texans, they're a team that remained active all preseason.
Very true. Lots of new faces for week 1, but they also have some familiar ones. And at the end of the day, they're a team the Saints must respect. When breaking down the Houston Texans, start at the top with quarterback Deshaun Watson, a true dual-threat QB whose playmaking ability is rare.
Man, he's elusive back there. I mean, he knows how to find the rush and where they're at and how to escape out the pocket. Gotta try to keep him in the pocket. And I mean, that's all. He can throw the ball outside the pocket. He's a real good thrower, so we basically got to keep him in the pocket and try to crush it on him.
Last year, Watson threw the ball a lot to DeAndre Hopkins. In fact, Hopkins had 115 receptions. Their next highest pass catcher didn't even have 40. But Watson has some new teammates and weapons. They traded for left tackle Laramie Tunsil, which should help. Last year, Watson was sacked over 60 times. He also has 2 new running backs in Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, and a former Saint to throw to in Kenny Stills. Defensively, gone is Jadeveon Clowney in a trade to Seattle. But number 99, J.J. Watt, is still there, and still an elite player off the edge. Last season, he had 16 sacks.
What does a guy like J.J. Watt do to try to make you stumble?
What does he do to make me stumble?
Yeah.
You watch JJ?
Yeah.
All right. Man, you got to go out there and fight. You know, he's a guy that he's earned the right to have free range. He can go out of his gap and come back and make a play. So going against a guy like that, your feet, eyes, hands got to be very particular.
The last time Watt played the Saints, disaster. He completely dominated the black and gold. This year, Ryan Ramczyk has the task of containing one of the best in the game.
And it's a pretty good bet that if Ryan Ramczyk needs some help, the Saints are going to find a way to give him some help, because Watt is the leader on that Texans defense. But on the other side of the ball, quarterback Deshaun Watson sets the tone. This is his 3rd year, but most times he plays like a guy that's been in the league a lot longer than that. And he, like a number of other quarterbacks in the NFL, really look up to Drew Brees, not only for how he continues to put up big numbers, but for how long he's done it and played the game at such a high level. Watson said guys like Brees are setting the standard for what it takes to be successful on the field later in life.
Man, that's the goal. Play till 43, 45, however long, God willing. And I got to switch some diet stuff. But, yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. You know, try to take it 1 year at a time. It goes by fast, as they always say. I'm already year 3. I feel like I just got here. But, yeah, I mean, those guys are setting the tone for especially all the younger guys in the league to play until they're 40 years old.
Watson couldn't believe that Brees has played so well for so long and hasn't won a league MVP. He is definitely a real fan of number 9.
No doubt about it. He and Brees, they're different quarterbacks, so longevity may not be the same for Watson as it is for Brees.
And the reason why, because he is a running quarterback. He's a quarterback that can run when necessary, and every time he runs, he opens himself up to that one big hit. 10 years in the league is definitely something that Watson could achieve. Longer than that means he'll probably have to change his ways as he gets older.
There were a lot of young running quarterbacks, never met an old one, so Deshaun Watson certainly has to keep that in mind. Still to come, the Saints made a linebacker for linebacker trade this week. Up next, what the tape says about what Kiko Alonso could bring to the black and gold. And you can have Saints Talk on demand with the Fox 8 Overtime podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. You can find our podcast on fox8live.com, the Final Play app, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You're watching The Game Plan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers in the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
As for Cam Jordan, he surprised some kids in our area at the start of the new school year. Jordan showed up at KIPP Leadership Academy yesterday to hand out backpacks filled with school supplies and hygiene kits. Jordan got help from United Healthcare and Dream Builders Foundation to pull off this event. They hope that handing out the 400 backpacks will help students improve their overall health and achieve success at school. The Saints did some dealing as well after cut day, bringing in linebacker Kiko Alonso for Vince Beagle.
Indeed, they did. The trade seems like one the Saints won on the surface, and after watching the tape, Alonso can be a player that can contribute to this defense. The first thing that jumps off the tape of Kiko Alonso is hustle. Regardless of the situation, Alonso plays through the whistle. One example came in his Week 2 matchup last year against the Jets. Here he is covering the tight end in the flat. Sam Darnold throws to the receiver on the sideline. Alonso peels off his man to make a tackle and forces a fumble along the way. In his Week 3 matchup against Oakland, the Raiders run an end around. Now look where Alonso is when Derek Carr pitches the ball. He's on the left side of the Raiders' offensive line. But when Matt Bryant runs around the end to the opposite sideline, it's Alonso who tracks across the field to make the tackle. Alonso is best against the run. Once again against the Jets, he reads the stretch play, shakes the block of the offensive lineman, and makes the stop. In Week 3 against the Raiders, Alonso is unblocked, notices the hole, shoots the gap, and stuffs Marshawn Lynch. And finally, Alonso's pass coverage is like most linebackers. They can do it, but it's not their strong suit. Here he is trying to guard Bilal Powell on the angle route. It did not go well. Now, it'll be interesting to see just how fast the Saints put Alonso on the field. He just got here this week, but will that be enough time to get him in a game? We'll find out. One thing Peyton always talks about, you can never have enough good players on your roster, and in Alonso, they've only added more to their overall depth. But the key to getting the best out of Alonso early in the season, how quickly he assimilates himself to what defensive coordinator Dennis Allen wants to do. Alonso's been in the league a long time now, and players will tell you at the end of the day, the scheme doesn't matter as much as being a good football player, because good players can adjust quicker. The Saints have been down this road before with bringing a veteran in late and getting him up to speed quickly.
Shanley came in a week before the start of the season. Semino came in the week of the start of the season. Both those two started at Mike and Will. We've had Mike McKenzie came in the week of a game against New England. I think depending on the player, depending on the experience with your scheme offensively or defensively, I think in our league, you don't get the luxury to say, hey, a month from now, there's a quick turnaround. The coaches, everyone involved in the process, dives in with the learning part of it. And then, he's in football shape because, he's been in a training camp and with another team. So he's up to speed with the players that are in this locker room. It's just the turnover relative to the scheme. And then, but I think it can vary. I think a lot of it's dependent on the player.
Of course, the Saints expect to have Alex Anzalone back on the field Monday night, but even with him being back, it's hard to imagine Alonso not seeing significant playing time as well.
We'll see. Just how fast he gets on the field remains to be seen. Coming up next, Jeff Duncan of The Athletic joins us in studio. Hear what he has to say about the Saints exploiting the Texans' new faces Monday night.
You're watching The Game Plan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers in the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
Felt like earlier this was a 10-6 team. after seeing them throughout the summer and OTAs and training camp, right now I feel like 11-5. You know, they can. I feel like, hey, look, there's a swing game in there. They can get to 12-4, but I feel good about 11-5 and NFC champs as well.
Deuce McAllister will be back with us on Monday for pregame coverage on Fox 8 News at 4 o'clock. And then we've got a live on-location edition of the Black and Gold Review Show with Deuce at 10:35 from the Superdome. Joined now by Jeff Duncan, Saints beat writer for The Athletic. The Saints team, as it currently stands right now, how ready are they for the season, Jeff?
I think they've been ready for a number of weeks. I don't even know if this team needed to go to training camp. Veteran team. I think they just wanted to get through these next 3 weeks or so of camp and be injury-free, and they accomplished that.
Yeah, I think they're ready. This team has had a business-like tone, a very matter-of-fact tone, a very deliberate tone throughout camp. They know what the journey lies journey lies ahead. They know the work they have to do to get where they want to go. I think it's a very realistic approach. They're ready to get this thing going. I think everybody inside that locker room, you can kind of feel it.
In terms of game planning, is it really as simple as deal with Deshaun Watson first, and then everyone else comes after that?
Yeah, I would think so. If you look at the playoff game, the last game Deshaun Watson played in Indianapolis, Colts played that soft zone, kept him in the pocket, forcing the read coverage. He was pretty pedestrian, but he has got that explosive ability when he gets outside the pocket, can make things happen, not just with his legs, but can really throw the ball downfield as well. Containing Deshaun Watson, eliminating the dual threat capabilities that he has, to me, is the absolute key defensively for the Saints.
Yeah, great point. And, you know, this is the first of a number of athletic, mobile quarterbacks the Saints are going to face. So it's going to be a good test for them early on. They've got Dak Prescott coming up, Russell Wilson, Mitch Trubisky's athletic guy. They're going to have to really work on that, because that's a phase of quarterback play that's given this defense issues in the past. They didn't face a lot of those kind of quarterbacks a year ago. So I'll be interested to see how they contain him, if they can contain him in the pocket.
There are going to be some matchups to watch, individual matchups to watch in this game Monday night. DeAndre Hopkins, Marshawn Lattimore, that will be fun to watch. We hope it's fun as a Saints fan to watch. What are you expecting out of that?
Well, I think he's going to get the assignment one-on-one. That's what they like to do with Marshawn Lattimore. He's clearly their shutdown guy. Hopkins is potentially the best receiver in the NFL. He's a guy that can make those contested catches, even if he's well covered. I think if they're able to be successful in that matchup, the Saints, I think Houston's going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball consistently. If they can't move the ball on the ground, I don't think consistently against the Saints.
No, I totally agree. Lattimore versus Hopkins is the matchup in terms of one-on-one battles in this game. Marshawn Lattimore, you want to be a shutdown corner, you want to play against the best, here's your chance, the biggest stage, Monday Night Football against one of the best, 115 catches last year, a guy Deshaun Watson looks for early and often. And if he loses that matchup, then all of a sudden the Saints have to shade some coverage, roll some coverage his way, could open up some opportunities for some other players. So that's the one I think the Saints have to at least, be somewhat, good to win this game.
If you flip things around, of course, the best player on the defensive side of the ball in this game is J.J. Watt. Ryan Ramczyk would like to get that responsibility. Do the Saints give him some help, or do they see early on how things go with him?
Probably feel him out. In a perfect world, you wouldn't like to keep your tight end or chip that guy. But, hey, if it happens, it happens. We saw the last time he played. We talked about it earlier in the show. I mean, he really dominated the Saints' offensive line, whoever they put on him. So I think you trust Ramczyk. He's another one, an up-and-coming guy, wants to be an elite right tackle. Well, here's your chance to prove it against J.J. Watt, one of the best in the business, if not the best in the business. So hopefully they win that matchup one-on-one, but you got to chip, you got to chip.
Sean Payton will have a plan for J.J. Watt. There's absolutely no doubt about it. The best thing that happened in terms for the Saints is the fact that Jadeveon Clowney's now been traded. They can concentrate a lot more now of their protection against J.J. Watt. I think it'll be interesting to see if the Texans move him around. They've done that in the past. I don't expect them to let him just stay over on one side. I think they're going to move him around, try and find a matchup that looks conducive to them to have a success.
One thing that we've talked about a lot in the preseason is the Saints' ability to get pressure with the front four. More specifically, Marcus Davenport on that right-hand side of the defensive line. How much will Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, have to manufacture pressure to cover up for Davenport and what he doesn't give them, if he doesn't give them what they want?
Well, that'll be interesting to see if he does try. I mean, he's going to mix things up like he always does. I think they're going to attack the left side of the Texans line. I mean, that's where Laramie Tunsil's brand new. He's only been there a week. Can't be too familiar with their offense so far. And then they've got a rookie, Titus Howard, playing left guard, a kid from Alabama State, Alabama A&M. This is going to be his first time under the bright lights. I expect them to challenge him early on, test that communication between two players that haven't played together at all in this early going, and see if they can, have some success with Marcus Davenport.
Yeah, you'd love to see Davenport dominate.
Yes,
you'd love
would.
to see him dominate, but he's playing against Tunsil in a one-on-one matchup, and we haven't necessarily seen him flash yet, so I don't expect him to dominate. And this is Dennis Allen. He has a pretty good sense of when to blitz, when to attack, and where to attack, and how to roll a coverage behind that blitz. So I do think they're going to try with Marcus Davenport, but I also think you're going to see some calculated shots being taken by Dennis Allen when he blitzes.
The Saints haven't won a season opener in the last 5 years. We make a lot out of that they need to get off to a fast start. And Peyton always talks about we got to start the season right. Is it that important to get off to a fast start with the win in week one?
Obviously not.
But with the first 4 games against all playoff teams from a year ago, is it maybe more important this year?
That's a good point. Because the schedule so early on is so difficult. I think this year at home, a lot of expectations, the way last season ended, I think they've got to be successful. I think they're going to be very successful in this game. I'll be shocked if they don't win the game. But obviously, if you lose the game, the season isn't over by any means, but it just makes it more difficult.
Absolutely. We'll leave it right there with Jeff Duncan from The Athletic. Jeff, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Still to come, how much of an impact will Saints skill position players have on your fantasy roster? Chris Hagan tells us when Game Plan rolls on. And Saints fans who want to see their team spirit on.
You're watching The Game Plan, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers in the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership. And Law Tigers, Louisiana's motorcycle lawyers.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, the Saints have had their struggles the last 5 years with season openers. They haven't won one. And part of the reason is the opposing team's best receiver has had a big day. The Bucs' Mike Evans, the Vikings' Adam Thielen, the Raiders' Amari Cooper, the Falcons' Julio Jones. Those 4 guys had well over 100 yards receiving against the Saints secondary. The Cardinals' Larry Fitzgerald just under with 87. Monday night, they'll face DeAndre Hopkins, one of the game's best receivers. Marshawn Lattimore will draw that assignment, and that will be must-see TV. Week 1 of the NFL season means fantasy football's here. Your drafts are done, your rosters are set, and chances are having some black and gold on your team will help you in your league.
As always, the Saints are once again prime-time fantasy options. Chris Hagan breaks it down in this week's Extra Point.
It's become a Week 1 tradition, but given how strong the offense is year after year, grading the Saints in terms of fantasy football value remains very relevant. Not only will we narrow down who's worth a first-round pick, but also who's not worth picking at all and who's the best bargain. We begin, obviously, with Alvin Kamara. He's going first overall in many leagues thanks to his 14 rushing touchdowns a year ago. But what makes Kamara so unique among fantasy football circles is how much he breaks a trend. At the end of the day, it's all a numbers game. The most valued running backs and receivers are based on touches and targets. In that category, it's Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley that far and away lead running backs with carries. They average about 280 between the two of them, compared to Kamara, who had less than 200 carries last season. And then there's Christian McCaffrey, who not only had nearly 220 carries, but also caught an insane 107 passes. Still, AK-41 remains a favorite in drafts because of his efficiency. Per carry, per reception, per red zone appearance. He makes the most out of every situation thanks to the variety of situations the Saints use him in. All of this means that Kamara, despite his high draft cost, is 100% worth it, and my highest graded fantasy player on the Saints roster. The next would have to be Michael Thomas. With every year, he seems to break another record. Averaging more than 100 catches per year, there's no reason to think he won't have another stellar campaign